You know that friend who seems to always have money? Not the one with the new car and the designer watch and the vacation photos every other week. The other one. The one who drives a car that is fine but nothing special. Lives in a place that is comfortable but not impressive. Never talks about money at all. And somehow, every time life throws something expensive at them, they handle it without flinching. That person is not lucky. They are not secretly earning twice what you earn. They are running a completely different financial playbook than the one you see everywhere else. And the reason you have never noticed is because that is the entire point. Here are 15 strategies that quietly grow money in the background while nobody is paying attention. And the reason the wealthy never share these is not because they are selfish. It is because the moment you talk about these moves, they stop working. My name is Ivan, and I help people understand how simple financial strategies create extraordinary results. Let me start with something that might feel counterintuitive if you have been conditioned by financial social media. The single biggest advantage you can have when building wealth is invisibility, not a high income, not a genius investment pick, not a side hustle that prints money. Invisibility, here is why. The moment anyone around you perceives you as having money, your financial life gets more expensive in ways you never anticipated. Service providers charge you more because your address or your car signals that you can afford it. Family members and friends develop expectations that quietly reshape every interaction. Social obligations multiply. You feel pressure to maintain the image you accidentally created. And every single one of those pressures siphons money away from the accounts where it should be compounding. There is also a psychological cost that nobody talks about. When people know you have money, every financial decision you make gets observed and judged. Buy something nice and people whisper that you are showing off. Buy something modest and people wonder why you are being cheap when you clearly have the resources. You end up trapped between two judgments and neither one is fair. The only way to win is to keep the information off the table entirely. Researchers who studied millionaires in the United States found that the majority lived in middle-class neighborhoods, drove domestic sedans, and were virtually indistinguishable from their neighbors. Their wealth was invisible, and that was not a coincidence. It was the strategy that made the wealth possible in the first place. These were not people who struggled with money and happened to live modestly. These were people who understood that modesty was the vehicle that carried them to financial freedom. So let me walk you through the 15 specific moves that make this work. Number 1. Automate your wealth building before your brain gets involved. Behavioral economists have a term called decision fatigue. Every day you make hundreds of choices. What to eat, what to wear, how to handle a problem at work, how to respond to that email, whether to cook dinner or order in. By the time evening rolls around and you sit down to think about money, your mental bandwidth is gone. That is when the lazy part of your brain takes over and says, you know what, I will save next month instead. The problem is not that you lack discipline. The problem is that you are asking your brain to make the hardest decision, the one that involves delayed gratification and future benefit, at the exact moment when it has the least capacity to make good decisions. It is like asking someone to do calculus after running a marathon. The fix is elegant and boring. Set up automatic transfers that move money into savings or investments the moment your paycheck arrives. Before you pay rent, before you check your balance, before your brain can negotiate with you about whether you really need to save this week. You pay your future self first, and everything else comes out of what remains. A teacher set up a $25 weekly transfer into a broad market index fund. She never thought about it again. 7 years later, that account had grown to over $14,000. She did not budget aggressively. She did not sacrifice her quality of life. She just made the decision once and let the system handle the rest. No budgeting apps. No spreadsheet nights. No arguments with herself about whether this was a good week to invest. That is what automation does. It removes you from the equation, and that turns out to be the most reliable way to build wealth. Your savings become as automatic and invisible as your utility bill. Number 2, stop telling people what you earn. This sounds simple, but pay attention to how often people leak their income without realizing it. They mention their salary during a promotion announcement. They casually drop what their bonus was. They complain about taxes in ways that reveal their bracket. They comment on how expensive something is in a way that signals they could afford it if they wanted to. Every one of those disclosures creates what psychologists call an invisible contract. The people around you recalibrate their mental model of what you can afford. And from that moment forward, they expect your spending to match the number they now associate with you. You get invited to more expensive dinners. Friends assume you will pick up the tab. Relatives remember your income when they need a loan. The move is simple. When anyone asks about money, deflect, "We are doing fine, making it work. Cannot complain, you do not owe anyone your numbers." And the less they know, the less pressure you carry. Number 3, keep your car longer than anyone thinks is reasonable. Nothing signals financial status to the outside world quite like the car in your driveway, and nothing destroys wealth quite like upgrading it every few years. Let me make this concrete with Rich Richard and Poor Peter. Both earn $80,000 a year. Rich Richard drives a 12-year-old sedan, paid off. Reliable, boring, his monthly car costs are insurance, gas, and occasional maintenance. Maybe $300 total. Poor Peter leases a new vehicle every 3 years, $650 a month plus higher insurance. Over a decade, Rich Richard saves roughly $42,000 just on the gap between his car costs and Poor Peter's. Invested at 8% average annual return, that gap grows to over $60,000. Poor Peter has nothing to show for it except a string of vehicles he never owned. And here's the part nobody talks about. Nobody notices Rich Richard's car. It is invisible. That is the advantage. Nobody at the grocery store is looking at his sedan and recalculating his net worth. Nobody at work is adjusting their expectations of him based on what he parked in the lot. He moves through the world without financial friction. And that friction, the social pressure to maintain or upgrade, is what kills Poor Peter's wealth building year after year. Poor Peter spends more because his car creates expectations that cascade into every other area of his spending. Number 4, erase the financial performance from your social media. Every vacation photo, every restaurant check-in, every new purchase you share online is data. It tells the world what you have and what you value. And that data creates a feedback loop you did not sign up for. You feel pressure to maintain the standard you set. Friends and family calibrate their expectations. Strangers form opinions. The wealthy figured this out early. They do not post their homes. They do not tag luxury experiences. They do not share investment wins. They live their financial lives offline, where wealth compounds without an audience watching and forming opinions about what it should look like. This is not about being secretive. It is about protecting your mental energy. When you stop performing wealth, you stop feeling obligated to maintain the performance, and the money you would have spent maintaining that image goes straight into your portfolio instead. Number 5, house yourself below what the bank says you can afford. Housing is the single largest wealth killer for the average person, and the trap works like this. A bank approves you for a mortgage that stretches your budget to its absolute limit. You buy the nicest home you qualify for because it feels like the smart move. Then you spend the next decade funneling every spare dollar into that mortgage, utilities, maintenance, property taxes, and repairs you never budgeted for. The quietly wealthy do something different. They keep housing costs well below 30% of their take-home pay. They buy less house than they qualify for. Or they rent longer than people expect and invest the difference. Here is the math that makes this real. Every extra $100 a month you spend on housing is $1,200 a year not going into investments. Over 20 years at 8% average returns, that single $100 difference costs you nearly $59,000. A slightly smaller apartment or a slightly less impressive house in a slightly less trendy neighborhood can literally be worth tens of thousands of dollars in your investment accounts. Nobody drives past your apartment and estimates your net worth. Nobody sees your address and forms an opinion about what you should be spending on furniture, landscaping, or holiday decorations to keep up with the neighborhood standard. But your brokerage account knows exactly what you chose, and over a 20 or 30 year timeline, That choice is the difference between financial freedom and spending your retirement years stressed about whether you saved enough. The modest home is not a sacrifice. It is a strategic decision to keep your capital flowing toward assets that appreciate rather than a property that mostly generates expenses. Number 6, treat every raise like it never happened for 12 months. There is a reason every raise seems to vanish within a few months. Your spending instinctively expands to fill the new space. A slightly nicer apartment feels justified. Eating out more often feels earned. A wardrobe upgrade feels overdue. Each choice feels small and reasonable, but stacked together, they cancel the raise entirely. That drift is called lifestyle creep, and it is the reason high earners end up with shockingly low net worths. The counter move is straightforward. When you get a raise, freeze your lifestyle for 12 full months. Keep spending exactly where it was. Redirect 100% of the new income into investments or debt elimination. Do not negotiate, do not make exceptions, just freeze. A graphic designer received a raise of several $1,000s a year. The natural instinct was to celebrate with a lifestyle upgrade, her own apartment, new furniture, maybe a gym membership at that nicer place closer to work. Instead, she kept her roommate situation for 2 more years and invested the entire surplus into a diversified portfolio. Those contributions started generating dividend income that eventually covered a significant portion of her rent when she did finally upgrade. Think about what she did there. She built the income stream first, then used that income to fund the lifestyle upgrade. Most people do it backwards. They upgrade first, then scramble to earn enough to sustain the upgrade. Her way, the upgrade paid for itself, and nobody in her life had any idea she was doing it. Her friends just thought she was comfortable with roommates. The truth was, she was building a financial engine that would fund her independence for decades. Number 7, make your investment strategy so boring that nobody ever brings it up. Crypto, day trading, options, real estate flips. People love talking about these because they are exciting, and that excitement is exactly what makes them dangerous for stealth wealth. Exciting investments demand attention, create stress, invite conversation, and often lose money. The boring alternative is broad market index funds, target date retirement funds, and dollar cost averaging into diversified portfolios. It is so boring that nobody at a dinner party will ever ask you about it, and that is the entire advantage. If you started investing $25 a week into a broad S&P 500 index fund a decade ago, you would be sitting on over $20,000 today. You did not need to watch the market. You did not need to time your entries. You did not need to make a single exciting decision. You just quietly compounded in the background while everyone else was chasing the next hot thing and bragging about it at parties. And that is the irony. The people who talk the most about their investments tend to perform the worst, because talking about investments means they are making the kind of bold, visible, attention-grabbing moves that produce dramatic stories but mediocre returns. The boring investor who nobody asks about at dinner has the best portfolio in the room, but nobody will ever know that, and that is exactly the way it should be. Number 8, build your emergency fund in silence. 6 months of living expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. That is the financial buffer that separates people who survive unexpected expenses from people who go into debt over them. Car repair, medical bill, job loss. The emergency fund handles it. But here is the critical part. Never tell anyone you have it. The moment someone in your life learns you have a financial cushion, they recategorize you. You become the person who can help, the person who can lend money, the person who should cover things because you clearly have the capacity. If you are finding this helpful, consider subscribing. I break down strategies like these every week that help you build wealth without the noise. Keep your emergency fund private. Help people when you choose to on your terms, but never let the existence of your safety net become public information. That boundary protects both your wealth and your relationships. Number 9, learn one phrase that ends expensive conversations instantly. I cannot afford that. 5 words. and they are the most effective financial boundary in existence, not because they are true, but because they end the conversation. When someone invites you to a vacation you do not want to fund, an expensive dinner you would rather skip, or a group gift that stretches your budget in a direction you did not plan for, I cannot afford that shuts it down immediately. Nobody argues with it, nobody pushes back, nobody asks follow-up questions, the conversation just moves on. The wealthy use this phrase constantly, not because they actually cannot afford things, but because they understand that every dollar they spend on social obligations is a dollar that is not compounding somewhere else. The phrase is not a lie, it is a boundary, and it is far more effective than trying to explain why you have chosen to prioritize your investments over a weekend getaway. Here is why it works so well psychologically. When someone hears I cannot afford that, their brain immediately stops calculating. They do not push back, they do not offer to cover your share, they do not launch into a pitch about why you should come anyway. The conversation simply ends. Compare that to I would rather save that money, which invites debate, or I am trying to be more frugal, which invites pity. I cannot afford that is a closed door, and behind that door, your money keeps compounding in peace. Number 10. Audit every single recurring charge on your bank statement. Streaming services, gym memberships you forgot about, meal kit deliveries you stopped using, premium app subscriptions, cloud storage upgrades. Each one feels like $10 or $15. No big deal, right? Add them up. For most people, the total monthly drain from subscriptions they barely use runs between $300 and $500 per month. That is $3,600 to $6,000 a year bleeding out of accounts on autopilot. Now run the math forward. $500 a month invested for 20 years at 8% returns compounds to over $290,000. That is not a rounding error. That is a retirement fund built entirely from money you were throwing away on services you forgot you were paying for. Cancel ruthlessly. Keep only what you actually use every single week. Replace paid services with free alternatives wherever possible. Nobody sees you cancel a streaming subscription. Nobody notices you downgraded your phone plan. But your investment account notices every single dollar you redirect. Number 11. Give generously, but never put your name on it. Paying for the car behind you at a drive-thru. Leaving an oversized tip at a restaurant. Donating to a cause you care about without telling anyone. Covering a grocery bill for someone who looks like they need it. These are not just good deeds, they are stealth wealth in action. Anonymous generosity does two things simultaneously. First, it reinforces the internal belief that money is a tool for impact, not a trophy for display. That mindset keeps you from sliding into the kind of spending that exists only to be seen. Second, it protects your financial privacy. Nobody adjusts their expectations of you. Nobody assumes you have extra to spare. You just quietly make someone's day better and move on. Number 12. Use legal structures to separate your name from your assets. This is where financial privacy gets serious. Many investors hold real estate, investment accounts, and business interests through limited liability companies. This creates a legal separation between your personal identity and the assets that appear in public records. A property investor manages 4 rental units through a company. To anyone searching county records, the owner is an entity name, not her name. That layer of anonymity keeps tenants, contractors, and acquaintances from connecting her directly to those properties. It prevents people from estimating her net worth based on what they can find in a public database. This is not about hiding from the government, it is about hiding from the social dynamics that drain wealth. Fewer people know what you own. Fewer people have opinions about what you should do with it. That means fewer awkward conversations and more compounding in peace. Number 13. Build income streams that are invisible from the outside. The quietly wealthy rarely depend on a single paycheck. They build side income streams that nobody can see. Dividends from index funds deposit directly into a brokerage account. Rental income flows through an entity. Freelance revenue comes in under a business name. Royalties from intellectual property arrive without any public footprint. Each individual stream might be modest, but together they create a financial resilience that a single salary cannot provide. And the critical piece is that none of these streams are visible to the people in your daily life. You do not announce your side income. You do not post about passive revenue. You just quietly collect and reinvest. Over time, these streams grow large enough to replace your primary income entirely. But from the outside, you still look like a regular person with a regular job going about a regular routine. Your coworkers have no idea that you could walk away tomorrow and your bills would still get paid. Your neighbors have no idea that multiple income sources feed into accounts they will never see. That gap between perception and reality is stealth wealth working exactly as designed. And the wider that gap grows, the more freedom you actually have. Number 14. Master the art of selective transparency. This is a move most people never consider. You can talk openly about some financial topics while keeping everything that matters completely private. This creates the illusion of openness without actually revealing anything useful. You can discuss budgeting strategies in general terms. You can share money-saving tips. You can talk about the benefits of index investing or the importance of an emergency fund. But you never mention a single number. Not your salary, not your net worth, not your account balances, not your rental income. The psychology behind this is subtle and worth understanding. People assume that if you are willing to discuss money at all, you probably do not have that much of it. The truly wealthy, they believe, stay completely silent about everything. By sharing the philosophy without the numbers, you satisfy curiosity just enough that people stop digging. You become the friend who is into personal finance, not the friend who is secretly wealthy. You can even mention financial struggles from earlier in your life. Talk about debt you paid off years ago. Mention the time you overdrafted your account in your 20s. These stories make you relatable and approachable. They create the impression that you are a regular person figuring things out. And while that impression settles in, your current financial reality stays completely hidden. You control the narrative without anyone realizing there is a narrative to control. Number 15. Space your upgrades so far apart that each one looks like normal life. When you do eventually upgrade something, make sure years pass before the next visible change. Rich Richard buys a $10,000 used car in 2015. He keeps driving it. In 2018, he moves to a slightly better apartment, but the car stays the same. In 2022, he finally upgrades the car to a $15,000 used vehicle. In 2025, he is still in the same apartment. His investment account, meanwhile, has grown substantially. But from the outside, he is just a normal person making normal decisions at a normal pace. Nobody sees the wealth compounding behind the scenes. Poor Peter does the opposite. He leases a new car in 2015, upgrades his apartment in 2016, gets another new car in 2018, moves again in 2020. By 2025, his lifestyle looks noticeably better than Rich Richard's, but his net worth is close to zero. He has been upgrading constantly, with nothing left to invest after the monthly obligations are covered. The spacing strategy works because it prevents anyone from noticing a pattern. A single upgrade looks like a reasonable life decision, but multiple upgrades stacked close together trigger the exact social recalibration you are trying to avoid. Here is the formula that ties all 15 of these strategies together. Privacy plus automation plus consistency. Privacy shields your progress from social pressure. Automation removes willpower from the equation. Consistency compounds results across years and decades. When those three forces work together, wealth builds in the background while your life looks completely ordinary to everyone around you. And that is the part that most people get wrong. They think wealth building requires dramatic action, big investments, bold career moves, flashy side hustles that generate attention and admiration. But the data tells a completely different story. The most reliable path to real financial freedom is so boring, so invisible, and so quiet that nobody around you has any idea it is happening. Now go implement these 15 strategies. Start with the first 3. Your future self will thank you for staying silent.